but I don't suffer from the illness anymore, and that's the difference. Despite everything medical that was going wrong for me then, my life is now back to normal. Actually, a little better than normal. I'm one of thousands who have transformed their health, but I still feel blessed. Let me tell you how this turnaround happened. A shock diagnosis. I'd first gone to my doctor with concerns about, of all things, my balance. My muscles had been feeling increasingly stiff, and I'd been feeling unsteady on my feet for a long time. When a friend noticed a slight shaking in my left arm, I knew I had to see someone about it. It took a number of mental and physical tests for specialists to confirm the worst, but once it was confirmed, I went into a state of absolute shock. The specialist spelt out the long-term possibilities for me, but however much of a positive spin he tried to put on the diagnosis, it all ended in the same place: therapies, drugs, specialist care, and the never-ending falling apart that comes with a degenerative brain disease. I was on a downward slope to goodness knows what. Of course, now that I'm off that downward slope, I feel very different about things. But I admit that I went into a miserable slump. I really didn't take in much of what they were telling me. All I could see was a person old before their time, having to rely on others to help me perform even my most personal functions. I had never thought about my life ending up like that. For weeks, I was just too upset to think or do anything. An overnight change. Then one morning, I woke up and I felt completely different about it. I was angry instead. I was filled with a sense of injustice. Why me? How did I come to deserve this? I was furious. I started to research Parkinson's disease like a person possessed, and quickly discovered there's a lot of information out there. Too much, in fact. Some of it quite complex. Some of it frustratingly contradictory. And some of it is just plain wrong. After 3 weeks of searching, I stumbled, quite by accident, on something that was the turning point in my struggle with the disease. In fact, what I found out turned my health and my life completely around. I'm going to tell you now what made the difference. And it's all based on why we get this horrible condition in the first place. Why do we get this illness? Parkinson's disease is a degenerative brain illness. Why does our brain health start to degenerate? It degenerates due to a loss of nerve cells in a part of the brain called the substantia nigra. These nerve cells in the substantia nigra manufacture a neurotransmitter called dopamine. But as the nerve cells die off, less dopamine is created. We need dopamine. The loss of dopamine leads to the loss of body control and leads to a whole cascade of other physical and mental symptoms that combine to steadily ruin a person's life. There's a simple, well-understood trail from good health to Parkinson's. Nerve cells dying off in the substantia nigra lead to reduced dopamine production, which leads to Parkinson's disease. However, almost all modern-day medical treatments start at step 2, reduce dopamine. We're trying to increase dopamine, which sounds sensible at first, but the problem is that we're tackling a disease that has already started, and we're not addressing it at the point of its underlying cause. It's like being in a sinking boat and constantly bailing out the water instead of fixing the leak. We can bail for so long, and then we sink. The reason why most people eventually get so ill with this condition is because almost no treatments tackle step 1, the dying of the substantia nigra cells. Yet, doesn't it make sense to address the initial cause of this dreadful condition? Of course it does. I've learned a lot about this disease. And here's the main thing I learned, and then proved to myself. We have choices about how this condition plays out. In fact, medical scientists have proved that many people with the genetic physical disability and mental disability. It's helplessness that means you're forever reliant on someone else for every little detail of your day-to-day life. Yet, as I discovered, none of this is actually inevitable. What Jody's The Parkinson's Protocol powerfully showed me is that sufferers can have more than just hope. We can outrun this disease. We can hold it off for decades and live full, healthy lives in the meantime. Now is the time to start doing that. Get the Parkinson's Protocol today and feel the difference. Just click the link below this video. Repair and restore. It was simple, unhelpful habits that created the conditions for degeneration of our brain cells. It's simple adjustments to those habits that unravels the whole mess. Repair damage, restore health. You have lots of life ahead of you. You can choose the quality of the rest of that life right now. I swapped the certainty of a mind and body that would deteriorate before my eyes for the certainty of a body and mind that would get stronger before my eyes. In 12 straightforward steps, I turned my illness on its head. Years after succeeding with Jody Knapp's program, I still go for my checkups because, as my physician tells me, I can't claim to have gotten rid of the disease. But we both know what the results are going to show. We go through the motions because we have to, but I'm fine. He knows it, and I certainly know it. Get the same for yourself, and get it now. Start reclaiming your physical and mental health now. You know and I know. There's a simple truth when it comes to serious illnesses like Parkinson's. What is addressed can improve, but what's ignored always gets worse. And that's especially true with this condition because it's degenerative. Almost by definition, it absolutely will get worse over time if we fail to tackle it. Every day we don't act to improve our condition, we get a tiny bit more ill. The sooner you address this thing, the easier it is to have a noticeable and long-lasting effect on it. Don't wait around on this. You can have the Parkinson's protocol in your inbox in under 3 minutes. Just click the link below. There is such a thing as too late. Remember, this program works in 3 ways. 1. It arrests the degeneration of brain cells in the substantia nigra. This is the underlying cause of Parkinson's. 2. It then addresses the lower dopamine levels that bring about Parkinson's symptoms. And 3. It tackles the condition's effects directly, dramatically reducing them or ensuring that they don't come about in the first place. We must do point 1, arresting the degeneration of brain cells quickly. Typically, at the point that symptoms are noticed, some 80% of the substantia nigra cells have already been lost. 80% is a very big number. The quicker we get to work to save the other 20%, the better. As yet, that degeneration cannot be reversed. So get to work on it today. Preserve existing healthy brain cells and make your recovery that much more certain. Do not let things get any worse. You still have time to make good, so do it now. The Parkinson's protocol is guaranteed, and your copy is waiting.